Reggae is especially strong in Toronto, thanks to its large Jamaican immigrant community. Reggae is one of the fresh new sounds of the 70s. The Bamboo Club on Toronto's Queen Street West is the home of third world sounds, including Afrobeat, reggae, and calypso. Toronto's Jamaican community brings infectious rhythms into the Canadian scene through the rootsy records of music legends Stranger Cole, Willie Williams, and Jackie Matu.
A lot of bands start sparking up. Truths and Rights, you had 20th Century Rebels.
20th Century Rebels now was a bit more, the sound was very eccentric in the sense that some of us were Canadian, some of us were from England, and some of us were from Jamaica. So we all drew from everybody's culture.
One time is all we ask for justice. Just one time for peace and unity. Because you're running, but you never gonna stop. I know it. Oh no, you won't forget that. Running from the FBI.
There was a real good quality of reggae in Toronto as well at that time. And Truth and Rights were probably like right up there, like maybe the best.
Attention in the city. The city's getting hot for the summer. The trouble down in Rexdale. Pakistani family battle. Too much oppression in this time. Yeah.
I always wanted to move out into, mainstream, and so I set out on a path of coming down to Queen Street and visiting some of the local bands.
Moja was friendly to all of us white players who aspired to learn reggae and calypso.
That scene was already there, but kind of bringing it onto Queen Street suddenly meant that it came out in the open a little bit, and people were surprised by it.
Tapping into their cultural roots, two Toronto bands flourished with fresh, radio-friendly reggae sounds.
You were invited to play down at Sunsplash, which was a great honor for a Canadian band. There was Messenjah and ourselves played on what's called the International Night, and I think that was a great thing for the Jamaicans in the band.
All of a sudden, you started to hear people on the radio. You started to hear Messenjah, for instance, on the radio, reggae music on the radio.
They had more like the English sound, like the Steel Pulse Aswad kind of thing. It was big bass and didn't have the same kind of poppy thing we did. We were a little more poppy. Certainly was a point where if I was at a club or something and they were playing something, it didn't really sound right until the reggae came on because they had the biggest, baddest bass and they had the best drum beats.
I really like dancehall music, so when the reggae vibe was there, I was already on the grassroots of, this dancehall era that was coming up.
Singer-songwriter Bruce Cockburn falls under the music's spell and scores his biggest hit with a reggae-flavored song that owes its influence to Jamaican-Canadian music legend Leroy Sibbles.
Well, Leroy Sibbles was the focal point of a lot of reggae activity in Toronto. He'd been a star in Jamaica.
There's no question if Bruce doesn't live in Toronto, he doesn't know about Leroy Sibbles' band. He doesn't go into clubs like the Bamboo where reggae is being played, and I don't think he gets that inspiration.
This is the system of Babylon. Whoa. The system.
Coming down to Queen Street led Bruce to hearing reggae, led him to record Wondering Where the Lions Are, which turned out to be amazing tracks.
The fact about reggae that remains true all over the world is that it's an influencing music.
I didn't want to fake it in the studio. I thought if I'm going to use this music, I want the real guys to play it. I want to invite them in and have it be real. At the time, a guy named Stuart Ravenhill was working with Bernie, and he was acquainted with Leroy Sibbles and various of the other reggae artists around Toronto. So he set me up with Leroy's rhythm section. There's some drum fills in Wondering Where the Lions Are that you couldn't have planned.